Good morning, I'm Nils. In this video I'll be talking about 5 different methods of losing excess body fat rapidly. I was watching a video recently that had the title, How to Lose Weight Finally Solved. And it was fine, the speaker's recommendations would probably work for some people, but it brought to mind that people can lose excess body weight in all kinds of ways. And the different methods that they use can have different beneficial metabolic effects. Now, I'm prone for some reason to gaining a little bit of excess belly fat. Even when I'm eating a very good diet, it can start accumulating. So every now and then I take a break from my regular diet to get rid of it. So when I want to get rid of it, what works for me, and many different things work for me, I'll just say that what works for me can vary. Okay, so method one thing that sometimes works for me, or actually always works for me if I decide to do it, is to crank up my fasting and do several days of alternate day fasting a week. And on those days I'm eating 0 calories. And I'm eating normally on the other days. For example, I might eat 0 calories on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but again, eat a very rich, very high nutrient diet on the other days. And if I do this for 2 or 3 weeks, it'll reset me back to an excellent weight for my height. This approach has the advantage that it gives me lots of autophagy, a process that kicks in on those fasting days, which cleans debris out of your cells and your blood. So that is method 1. Method 2, another method that can work for me, particularly if I'm in a hurry to lose fat, is actually to go carnivore for a week or 2. For example, I might eat eggs for breakfast, I might have steak for lunch, I might have some pork or some chicken or some salmon or sardines for dinner. If I'm eating meat from a land animal, I would choose meat from one that was fed organic feed or was grazed in an organic pasture where artificial fertilizers weren't used. I also always buy meat from small family farms where the animals were treated well. I don't like eating meat, and I actually won't eat meat from factory farm operations where the animals are treated poorly. Now, a carnivore diet purist would actually look at what I'm eating and say, I'm not going full carnivore. I'm kind of cheating, because I might add a few peas alongside my serving of meat or fish, or I might add some onions to season it, or I might use some condiments from plant sources such as ketchup or mustard. But I don't care. It works for me, and the fat loss is very rapid, and I feel amazing when I follow this approach. And by the way, I don't buy the notion that meat is inherently bad for people. It is very true that if we eat food such as meat that is high in methionine, the methionine, if we're eating a lot of it, can be toxic to the body, and it can be pro-aging. But there's a very simple solution to that, which is to balance it by either taking some glycine or collagen, or by eating nose to tail, by eating the rest of the animal, which is what our ancestors did, which avoided that problem. So it's not that the meat is inherently harmful, it's not that it's doing something bad to the body. That's simply not true. It's that there's this absence of something which our ancestors would have been eating, which is the glycine, which renders the methionine helpful instead of harmful. Eating only meat for a few days has the advantage that meat is very high in bioavailable nutrients. The nutrients are much more available from meat than they are from plant-based foods. But some people would point out that, okay, if you're eating that much meat, you're going to be activating your mTOR, just full blast mTOR, and that can be pro-aging. And again, that's valid. That's very true if I were doing that full time. But what I do usually, if I follow a meat-based diet for a couple of weeks, is that I will compress my eating window to about 4 hours, and the rest of the time, again, I'll be fasting. And during those 4 hours, yes, I'll be activating autophagy, and I'll be supporting muscle growth, and I'll be supporting a strong immune system. During the other 20 hours a day, I will be supporting autophagy and I will be activating AMPK. And that is very anti-aging and that is very pro-longevity. So I'm just saying there's more than one path to a goal. Method 3, and the vegans who are watching this, if any vegans haven't already given up on it, will be a little bit happier with this. And this is another approach that I sometimes take, is to go vegan for a few days, limiting myself to just 2 or 3 or maybe 4 very low glycemic vegan foods. For example, I might eat only carrots and parsley and radishes and cucumbers. Or maybe just a few carrots and a little parsley for a few days. And again, as I think you'd expect, the pounds will usually melt away. And this has great benefits because I'll be getting a great deal of autophagy. My AMPK will be activated full time. There won't be any mTOR activation. And I will again usually feel great. I feel great when I'm doing the carnivore diet for a couple weeks, as long as I'm also building in a lot of fasting. And I also feel great if I'm eating a completely vegan diet, like I just described, for a few weeks. Or for, I should say, about 2 weeks. Now, I should probably point out here, just kind of full disclosure, that I went vegan for 3 years and I didn't like it. It started out seeming healthful to me and I ended up getting very sick, and it was not a good diet for me in the long run. And I also have been carnivore. I was carnivore for a few months, no plant foods at all. And that also did not work for me in the long run. But what I'm talking about here again are short-range diets to kind of refocus our energy, reset our metabolism, and lose some excess body weight. Method 4. When I was on a ketogenic diet a few years ago and wanted to lose weight fast, I would do a fat fast, eating nothing but fatty foods for a few days. A fat fast might sound like you're going to give up all fat, but it's the opposite. It's based on a diet that was created by Dr. Atkins years ago, and on this you eat only fatty foods. Like you might have some coffee and add a much heavy cream to it. You might eat cream cheese. You might, for example, have a little slice of cucumber and just add a bunch of cream cheese to it. You might eat a fatty steak, and you might eat a bunch of eggs. And basically you're just pouring in the fat. And it might sound like, wow, it's going to be a ton of calories, and it is. But if you are fat adapted, if you've been eating a ketogenic diet for a while and you do this, then it's streamlined to help you to lose a great deal of weight very rapidly. And just trust me, it works, and there's kind of a complex theory about why it works, but it is another way to lose excess weight very fast. But it works best, again, if you've been on a ketogenic diet already for a while. Method 5 would be to do a more traditional fasting mimicking diet, such as the one developed by Dr. Walter Longo, which I think is a great fasting mimicking diet, especially for people who are in the habit of eating kind of a standard American diet and want to break from that. Longo's fasting mimicking diet keeps protein under 16 grams a day. It also keeps carbs pretty low. Fasting mimicking diets, like the other approaches that I've been talking about, support autophagy, because when our protein drops very low, our bodies resort to cleaning debris out of our cells and extracting the amino acids from the debris. It's in order to turn them into proteins that the body needs to kind of carry on basic bodily functions when we're fasting. So that has this kind of multiple advantage of cleaning the crud out of our cells and supporting autophagy, supporting what's called apoptosis if we do it for several days. Now again, all of the methods that I've talked about so far are good in that sense, that they will promote autophagy. Now, before someone points out that these are not necessarily balanced diets, that they may or may not be good for people to follow long run, I'm not saying that any of these approaches is right for everyone. I'm not claiming that they're balanced diets for the long run. I'm saying that many different approaches can work. And I'm also saying that if you're doing a short fast for a week or two, it does not have to be balanced. That idea that it has to be a balanced diet for those 2 weeks strikes me as ridiculous. Because a water fast for 2 weeks is completely safe for most people. And all that we're doing here really is starting with a water fast which has no nutrients, and then we're adding a few nutrients back into it, like carrots and celery back into it, or we add Dr. Walter Longo's fasting mimicking diet ingredients back into it. So how could that possibly be worse for you than just doing a water fast for 2 weeks? So anyway, I don't see any danger at all in doing this. Although, obviously, anytime you're going on any diet, know your own health, talk to your doctor if you have any concerns at all. The videos on this channel are sponsored by Do Not Age, a good source of anti-aging supplements. I use several of their supplements, including two of my favorites are their NMN and SIRT6 activator. For a 10% discount on their products, use the discount code PATHWAYS, typing it in all caps. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.